Okay, let's talk about Fantastic Four. I see the movie tomorrow. A lot of you have already seen it. Happy for you. So I'm going to see it tomorrow. Of course, a lot of us going to see it tomorrow. A lot of us going to see it over the weekend. It's the latest in the Marvel catalog, right? So here's the deal, right? Obviously, the question's like, is this good? Is this thing going to be good? Are we back? I think that's kind of been the Marvel conversation, right? Is it over, or are we back, or are we somewhere in between? And, you know, Thunderbolts kind of had this weird outcome where on the one hand, it does feel like we're back because, oh yeah, I see it today. Oh my God, what is wrong with my brain? Don't answer that question. I see it later today. Anyway, point is this, man. Marvel, what's the deal? Thunderbolts seemed like it was back in a certain way. In another way, it seemed like Marvel's maybe not back. And what I mean is like incredible audience scores, incredible critic scores, great numbers in that regard. A lot of people love Thunderbolts. I love Thunderbolts. I think Thunderbolts is like very, very good, actually. But the flip side is it didn't really make that much money. It made even less money than Captain America Brave New World, which was fucking awful. I know some of you guys like that movie. It's fucking awful, dude. All right? It is what it is. So the question's like, are we back? And that has a two-parter. Are we back in the sense that critics love it, fans love it, the fan base is there? But are we back as in, like, are all the fans coming back into this party? Because that's really what it felt like. Marvel was a big party. Everybody was enjoying it. It was always a thing. And obviously the past couple of years have been so rough that, like, Marvel now gets attacked and memed and, like, people... Like, it's... Like, right now, even with this film, with Fantastic Four, you see a bunch of people online kind of having this attitude where they're like, oh my God, Marvel actually made a good movie again and stuff like that. Like, I'm literally seeing that in a lot of, like, you know, meme accounts and all that. And I think that is where the fans are at, like, expecting bad, expecting cringe, expecting a lot of things when it comes to Marvel. So, as it stands right now, the thing has an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. Very good score. As opposed to Superman's score, by the way, which, like, Superman held on to an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. But when you looked into the actual reviews for Superman, dude, there were people that gave this thing... Did you see there was one person that gave it a 4 out of 10 and gave it a positive tomato? So, like, Superman was kind of wild where, like, basically all the reviews were like, very flawed movie, still recommended. Which is, like, I agree. I love Superman. I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm just trying to bring up the point that is not what we're seeing in the reviews for the Fantastic Four. You go through these reviews, a lot of people loving this movie. A lot of these fresh tomatoes, way more glowing than what they were when it came to Superman. Now, you have some people that just think it's still too Marvel, it's still too comic booky, and I think that's fair. You know, I think it represents a certain sect of the population, of the critics, and potentially of, like, the wider audience as well, right? You're going to have that there. However, it's just fair to point out that, like, a lot of the negativity in these reviews is coming from people that don't seem to like Marvel comic book stuff or any of that, right? So that's interesting. You know, a tale a little bit different than Superman, a little bit different than what you get with the Fantastic Four, right? So we'll see what the audience score shakes out, but whether the thing goes up by a couple points or down by a couple points, that is a damn good Rotten Tomato score. You know, far better than, what was Captain America? What did Captain America get? Like 40, 50, something like that? Like, it was really embarrassing. So this is a good start for the Fantastic Four. Now, interestingly, these numbers do appear to have, or these critic scores do appear to have affected the pre-sales. Okay, so I'm over here on Box Office Global, or Global Box Office, rather. Fantastic Four pre-sales had an amazing boost yesterday after stellar reviews. F4 is now projected to make 24 to 27 million in previews. That would make it, by the way, the biggest Thursday of the year, beating Superman, and now tracking for a whopping opening of 120 to 140 million. And they mean that domestically. Okay, now here's the thing, though. I have to point out, and Luis has done a great job of pointing this out as well. Like, let me see if I can find his official kind of breakdown projection thing. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting, right? So we just saw global box office. There are other outlets that are also saying it's going to like blow up like towards the 140. However, like the industry, like Hollywood people have projected it much lower. So this is interesting. Luis says here, and we follow Luis a lot. His box office coverage, I think, is incredible. Let me just try to adjust this for you guys. Yeah. So Luis says, now the fireball is with Fantastic Four. Received positively by reviewers, Fantastic Four First Steps got exhibitors hopeful for another massive box office performance. That's important. Exhibitors. Industry, and he means Hollywood people, remain cautious due to recent MCU underperformances, with projections seeing 100 to 110 3-day weekend in the U.S. and a 90 to 100 in the 5-day. This would make it for 190 to 210 million global opening. So what's happening right now, and we've sort of seen this play out over the past couple of weeks. I think the conversations around Superman kind of hid a lot of what was going on with the Fantastic Four. I remember there were some of you in chat and on the Discord that were like, yo, where's the numbers for Fantastic Four? Like what? And I kept saying, like, they're out there, they're just really rangy, just like Superman. But like Superman was so the conversation that like long range projections from last week kind of got buried by Superman news, et cetera, et cetera. So Hollywood itself is being cautious. That's what Luis is saying. That's what global box office is saying. That's what a lot of people are saying. Now, I sort of view that, and you guys let me know what you think, but I sort of view that as Hollywood is setting Fantastic Four up for a lot of positive headlines, right? Like, it kind of feels like if the distributor, because remember, the distributors were the one that pulled Superman down, and they were like, I just don't know about this, like, 160 number. Like, that's what originally had pulled it way down. And remember, there was a time period where pre-sales for Superman stalled out. This was reported by multiple people, but like basically what happened was a whole bunch of folks kind of just said, let's wait and see. Maybe they didn't like some of the late in the game comments. Maybe they didn't like some of the late in the game previews, whatever, trailers, etc. But for whatever reason, the pre-sales for Superman a week out hit this weird stall. Now, they did pick back up after reviews came out, which were also really good for Superman. Fantastic Four never had that slowdown. It was light in a lot of other markets, including China, okay? But it never had like this noticeable slowdown. And it has also picked back up, or kicked up rather. So look, I take this to mean I am personally predicting this thing will operate right at Superman domestically, perhaps a little bit better than Superman. There is a chance it goes crazy and like goes further up than that. There's a chance it underperforms and comes in slightly under Superman. I would expect the international box office to be slightly more kind to the Fantastic Four as opposed to Superman. You know, something really interesting happened. I don't know if you guys have been following along with this. China, who has been so unkind, not just to the comic book movies, but to a lot of American movies in general, China's box office ahead of Fantastic Four also accelerated quite a bit. It's now actually performing better than a lot of other movies. Some people are now projecting it in China to make towards 30 or 40 million. You know what I mean? Like on its total run, which would be pretty crazy. I don't know if that's exactly where it's going to land. But either way, it has picked up majorly in China. It also picked up majorly in Europe as well. So a lot of good positive signs for Fantastic Four, man. Like absolutely massive numbers coming in. So it's going to be a hit. The question, of course, will it be the hit that Superman is? Will it perform better than Superman? Will it perform worse than Superman? By the way, small side note on this, because I know a lot of you are curious. Superman is looking to perform pretty well this weekend against Fantastic Four. Better than I expected, but it's still probably only going to make like 20 million or something like that. But that's still really good domestically for going up against a big juggernaut like this. Like, that's kind of wild. So that's kind of where it stands. And now I just got to say, that for me personally, and I don't know, man. I'm wondering where you guys are at. You know, I love DC. I wouldn't call myself a hardcore DC fan. Some of you guys in chat are more of a DC fan than me. You know, I would say Rob's more of a DC fan than me, right? I'm not like the biggest DC fan in the world. I like DC. But man, DC fans, y'all showed up for Superman, and I saw a bunch of you guys on Twitter, a bunch of you guys in the Discord that were like, I'm going again. And I think part of that was we waited so long for good DC and for like something to root for, something to like be excited for, and Superman represented that. And it was basically like good enough for a lot of folks. And they put all of their sort of pent up DC fandom energy into that thing, and they're going crazy. Here's the thing, though. I am more of a Marvel fan. I am a massive fucking Marvel fan. The MCU and its success literally changed my life. You know what I mean? Via the YouTube channels, etc. So I'm a big Marvel fan, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And I almost feel that I've reached a point that's similar to the DC fans. Even though I loved Thunderbolts, there's a big part of me that's like, dude, I need that fucking Infinity like Saga itch, man. I need that old Marvel feeling. I need this shit to be dope as fuck. Take me to the next thing in an excited manner. Like I want to fucking feel things. I want to be shocked. I want to be like a child. You know what I mean? With like big stupid smile on my face. And there's a part of me that thinks that if this movie can do that, you are going to see not just myself, but you're going to see many other Marvel fans show the fuck up. Because I think we've also been waiting. We're also like wanting that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm hoping that it exceeds or at least meets my sort of outlandish expectations that I'm putting upon the film. I'm hoping that the movie gets into my top 5 Marvel. It feels like it could, because not only does it look incredible, but it seems uniquely suited to satisfy all my various interests, man. Like the sci-fi horror, the big scale, the epicness, the how they might crack this thing open. Oh, I'm really, really excited. So as it stands right now, guys, Fantastic Four's off to a great start. It does sort of feel like Marvel is back in a way. I know we say that every time. And it's clearly not so obviously established that we don't have to keep having this conversation. But it does feel like this one's different and this one's special. And holy shit, am I excited, man. I'm excited to check it out. So there you go.